Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. So today I want to give you 5 reasons why you might suck at playing violin, or five more politely put, 5 reasons why you're thinking that you're just sounding really bad at the violin but you have absolutely no idea. These are the top 5 reasons. They are not limited to, there are going to be many more reasons than that, but these are the most prevalent ones, the top 5 ones, the top 5 mistakes that people make again and again and again, and they're so basic. So just by changing these 5 aspects of your playing can massively improve your playing. Before I do go any further in the video, I just want to talk to you very quickly about my 1 to 30 violin course that I know a lot of you don't know that I have. A lot of you do, and maybe you're thinking of starting the violin but you're not sure where to start and everything. My 1 to 30 violin course is great for that. So I just want to give you a little bit of information about that and then we'll get straight into the video. I have a 1 to 30 violin course which is available to purchase from my online shop. I will put links in the description bar underneath. The good thing about my course is that it guarantees to take you from a complete beginner to a very decent and accomplished intermediate player, assuming that you follow my book course. The first 10 lessons are absolutely free, so you can go through them. You can see how far you get after the first 10 lessons. You'll get an idea of my style, how I teach, how I deliver the information and how I educate and everything. And any free resources and PDFs that you need for that particular lesson or the first 10 lessons are linked directly underneath those videos where appropriate. Once you've done the first 10 lessons, you would then move on to Songbook 1, which contains 10 pieces based on all the information that you've learned in the first 10 lessons. After that, you'd move on to Book 2, which is lessons 11 to 20. Once you've done that, then you'd move on to Songbook 2, which is going to be the exact level that you will be by the time you get to lesson 20. Then you'll move on to the next set of 10 lessons, which is more technical stuff, that kind of thing. And then you'll finish off with Songbook 3, which is a culmination of everything that you've learnt. My book course is 100% downloadable, so there are no physical books to ship out to you. I know I have them here, but these are just ones that I've just printed off on my printer at home and I've just bound them together. You know, it's just so I've got something to show you guys when I'm making videos and things. So there's nothing physical to ship out. The second you pay for them, you can be downloading it and you can be getting onto it straight away. So this book course is $60, which I want to say is something like £45 if you're in the UK. So how familiar does this sound to you? So, the first thing is to tune your violin. So many people do not have a tuned violin. This violin is not in tune. If you don't have a tuned violin, then everything else is going to be out. No matter where you put your fingers, you're going to have to constantly be compensating for them because your basic strings, your open strings are completely out of tune. If you don't have them tuned, then you'll find that your fingers will be having to move about all over the place to compensate for that note. Or you'll be putting your fingers down in the position where you're used to putting them, but your ear will then start taking on a different tune because your ear will start to think those notes are correct when actually they're not. Having a well-tuned violin is just going to make the world of difference. So people, make sure you tune your violin each and every time before you go to play. It doesn't really matter what type of violin you've got. Even I just tune mine up, just give it a little once over. If you've got one of the cheaper violins, then they're going to go out of tune quite badly, so you really are going to be needing to make sure that you tune that violin. But make sure you tune it up and make sure it's well in tune. get yourself a little tuner. This is a D'Addario NS tuner. Make sure you get yourself one of these, put it on the violin and tune it up from that, because it's going to be this is the most accurate tuner. I'll put a link to this underneath that I've ever come across, and I use this all the time when I'm out and about at events and weddings and things where I don't have access to a piano or anything like that. I like to just make sure it's perfectly in tune by using one of these. Okay, the second thing is bow hold. So it's not a golf club, it's not a tennis racket, it's none of those things, it's a violin bow, and you've got to hold the bow properly. I'll link to a video underneath where I show you in great detail on how to hold the bow. I'm not going to talk about that in this video, but making sure that you put your thumb in the little hole between the black part of the wood there and the frog. The two middle fingers go over. The index finger will usually sit on the silver, and your little finger will sit just on the piece of wood at the very end there. You want to make sure that your wrist is up high as well, and you're not doing any of this. So it's no point having a good bow hold, but your wrist is lower than the wood. So the wrist needs to be up. Now, if you are bowing and you're holding the you're holding the bow like this, then immediately everything is just going to be awkward like this. So my hand is all in the wrong position, it's not flexible, it's not moving. The minute I hold the bow as it should do, which is like this, which to some people when they're starting with feels a bit alien, eventually it's not. You know, it makes sense because you're able to move your fingers all around, you're able to move the bow, everything is just moving a lot more freely. The minute you hold like this and grip it, then you're only going to go one way and you're not sawing a piece of wood with violin. So that kind of leads us on to number 3, where you are bowing. So you want to be bowing in the middle between the bridge and the fingerboard. Now, how you're going to do that is by making sure that you're just bowing from the elbow. So you want to try not to swing from the shoulder. So the movement doesn't really come from the shoulder. You also want to make sure that you are not making this arm go any further back than your actual back. So if you can see the way I'm bowing here, I'm just going to be bowing mostly from the elbow. When I want to bow a little bit higher, I can bring my elbow up like this and away, but when I get down to the level of my back here, my arm just comes down. So I can bring it forward, but I can't bring it any further back. The minute I bring it further back, look what happens to the bow. So if I keep it here in line with my actual back here, and I just bow up, I know I'm not making any sound, but just for the purpose of the video, I can keep my bow nice and straight. Yeah, by doing all of this. The minute my arm goes this way and swings from the shoulder, look at what's happening to the bow. So we don't want to be doing any of this swinging. We want to keep it nice and straight. So when we're bowing from the elbow and not from the shoulder, we keep everything straight. So I've got videos on all this. I go through all of that in my 1 to 30 violin course. But just make sure that you are bowing straight, because if you're bowing all over the place around here, you're going to lose a lot of the quality of the tone. The other kind of addendum I want to add to that as well is just making sure that you isolate the strings. So your level of your arm here is going to dictate where you're going to be on the string. So E string, A string, D string, G string. You want to try and make sure that you're isolating those strings and not somewhere sort of, your arm is just randomly wherever it wants to be. So the level of this arm is going to dictate what kind of string you're on as well. So make sure that you are isolating those strings and learning to isolate those strings. Okay, number 4, left hand position. I see too often a lot of people gripping it like this, and not only are they kind of grabbing it like a, I don't know, badminton racket, whatever. It's it's not something you just pick up and grab like a handbag. It's a violin. So what you want to be doing is holding from the very fingers and having your hand nice and down like this. So what we don't want, so I'm just trying to stay on camera here, we don't want the wrist to be coming up like this. Yeah, we want the wrist to be down. So the easy way to do that is to, if I go this side, I like to have my thumb just here. Some people do teach with the thumb up here. I don't. I'm just going to be assuming that you're following my 1 to 30 violin course. So this is how I teach. So if the thumb is just here on the side, the fingers are just kind of neatly hooked over as if they're kind of just gently hanging from a bar or something like that. Then the rest of this hand is down. That way in the future, when you're changing positions, you'll be able to move up and down. You don't want your wrist up like this, which is what I see a lot. Everything's going to be hunched over. You can't move your fourth finger. You're very restricted. And also you can't move. Third thing is that you can't do vibrato because you've literally got no movement. So if you're making sure your hand is down, then you're going to get a nice clean and even tone going on up here. And the final reason is violin position. So we don't want to see any of this like we did at the beginning of the video. We want the violin to be out around about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, something like that. So 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is a little bit too far out to the side for me. 11 o'clock is a little bit too close to 12 o'clock. So we want it about 10, something like that, just to give you an idea. So we want it nice and out to the side. I've got a separate video on how to hold the violin and how to hold the bow, where I focused on specifically how to do that and got into more detail. So I will link those directly underneath. But we don't want to see any playing down like this. We don't want to see any bow grips like this, and we don't want to be seeing all of this. So already it just doesn't really look very good because it's all hunched up. If you have the violin out to the side, you have your bow presented properly under the fingers, you're bowing nicely from the elbow, already you're going to have opened up your whole tone, added that with the fact that your hand is hanging nicely from the violin. Everything is looking good, everything is going to feel good, and everything is going to sound good. So there we go. I just wanted to make a really super quick video on 5 reasons why you might not be quite sounding so good at the violin. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to head underneath the video. I will link my 1 to 30 violin course under there with all the details and the links to purchase and that kind of thing. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.